Try not to laugh. All 50 states, clean roast jokes. 1. Alabama. Why did Alabama change their state motto to Sweet Home Alabama? Because it's all relative, didn't test well. 2. Alaska. What does Sarah Palin use to control her ego? N. Alaska size, remote. 3. Arizona. Why did Arizona decide to become a dry state? They were tired of dealing with all that dry heat. 4. Arkansas. Why did Arkansas decide to rename their state animal to the mosquito? Because they seem to be the only creatures that can survive there. 5. California. They say home is where the heart is, but in California, it's more like home is where the traffic is. 6. Colorado. Why did the Colorado Tourism Board decide to change their slogan to Come for the mountains, stay for the high? It's a real peak performance. 7. Connecticut. Why did Connecticut decide to host the World Cup? They wanted to see what real football looked like. 8. Delaware. What's the best way to forget about Delaware? Just think of it as that tiny spot between Jersey and Maryland. 9. Florida. Why did Florida decide to implement a no shirt, no shoes, no service policy? They were tired of all the alligators dining au naturel. 10. Georgia. Why did Georgia decide to switch to daylight savings time? They wanted to make sure they got enough sunlight for their peachy personalities. 11. Hawaii. What do you call a Hawaiian marathon runner? Aloha speed. 12. Idaho. Why did Idaho decide to start farming potatoes? Because they were tired of being known as the state with too many vowels. 13. Illinois. They say you can't spell Illinois without ill and annoy. Coincidence? I think not. 14. Indiana. Why did Indiana decide to change their state capital from Indianapolis to Naptown? Let's just say, it's a much more accurate description. 15. Iowa. Why did Iowa decide to name their state bird the chicken? Because that's the only bird they can catch. 16. Kansas. What do you call a Kansas tornado chaser? Stormtrooper. 17. Kentucky. Why did Kentucky decide to name their state drink bourbon? Because moonshine was already taken. 18. Louisiana. Why did Louisiana decide to change their state flag to a crawfish? Because it's a perfect representation of their attitude, small and mighty. 19. Maine. What's the best way to survive a Maine winter? Just beam yourself up and hibernate. 20. Maryland. Why did Maryland decide to name their state fish the blue crab? Because they were tired of being known for their rednecks. 21. Massachusetts. Why did Massachusetts decide to make Boston cream pie their official state dessert? Because nothing says patriotism like indulging in a rich, creamy treat. 22. Michigan. Why did Michigan decide to regulate snowmobiles? Too many people were getting snow plowed. 23. Minnesota. What do you get when you mix Minnesota nice with hot dish? A warm greeting. 24. Mississippi. Why did Mississippi decide to change their state motto to last in everything, first in obesity? Because they like to be tops in something. 25. Missouri. What do you call a Missouri farmer with 500 cows? A Moogul. 26. Montana. Why did Montana decide to name their state flower the bitterroot? Because it's a perfect reminder of their cold, harsh winters. 27. Nebraska. Why did Nebraska decide to rename their state flag the cornflake? Because let's be honest, that's all anyone knows them for. 28. Nevada. Why did Nevada decide to make gambling legal? Because they needed some way to distract tourists from the desert landscape. 29. New Hampshire. Why did New Hampshire decide to make live free or die their state motto? Because no one else wanted to claim that weather. 30. New Jersey. Why did New Jersey decide to call themselves the Garden State? Because it sounds a lot better than the land of the turnpike. 31. New Mexico. Why did New Mexico decide to make Breaking Bad their official state show? Because nothing else could accurately represent their drama-filled lives. 32. New York. Why did New York decide to rename the Big Apple to the Big Traffic Jam? Because let's be honest, that's all you see when you're there. 33. North Carolina. They say there's nothing like Southern hospitality, but North Carolina takes it to a whole new level with their biscuit and sweet tea greeting. 34. North Dakota. Why did North Dakota decide to change their state motto to "Not as cold as South Dakota"? Because it's the only competition they'll ever win. 35. Ohio. Why did Ohio decide to name their state bird the cardinal? Because it's a perfect match for their sports teams, always in red and rarely flying high. 36. Oklahoma. Why did Oklahoma decide to use a tornado as their state emblem? It's a reminder that even their state bird can't handle the winds. 37. Oregon. Why did Oregon decide to make Portlandia their state show? Because they wanted to prove they can be just as weird as California. 38. Pennsylvania. Why did Pennsylvania decide to make Phillies Fanatic their state mascot? Because nothing screams pride like a big green, fuzzy creature dancing on the sidelines. 39. Rhode Island. Why did Rhode Island decide to name their state dessert coffee milk? Because they needed something to give them a jolt in the smallest state. 40. South Carolina. Why did South Carolina switch to matte paint for their state capital? They were tired of constantly repainting due to all the peaches falling from the trees. 41. South Dakota. Why did South Dakota decide to make their state motto, "Under God the people rule"? Because, under God the weather rules didn't have the same ring to it. 42. Tennessee. Why did Tennessee decide to make Nashville hot chicken their state dish? They needed something to balance out all the sweet tea. 43. Texas. They say everything is bigger in Texas, but have you seen the size of their egos? 44. Utah. Why did Utah decide to rename their state flag the Mormon Mission? Because let's be honest, there's no escaping them. 45. Vermont. Why did Vermont decide to switch their state drink to maple syrup? Because nothing says Vermont like pouring syrup straight from the tree into your mouth. 46. Virginia. Why did Virginia decide to make ham biscuits their state snack? Because you can never have too many piggy briefs. 47. Washington. Why did Washington switch from growing apples to growing hipsters? They wanted something more fresh and organic to take over their state. 48. West Virginia. Why did West Virginia decide to make pepperoni rolls their state food? Because what else could beat having pizza on the go? 49. Wisconsin. Why did Wisconsin decide to rename their state bird to the drunk cardinal? Because let's be honest, they go hand in hand. 50. Wyoming. Why did Wyoming decide to make cow tipping their official state pastime? Because they have to make use of all the cows somehow.